You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks. T&M.
Are you ready to listen to Final Wrestling Place? Kick it! Yeah! Yeah! You wanna be in the good place, fool? You better be doing what you're supposed to do. Bad place, little boy. Good place, little man. Break it down. Final Wrestling Place! Final Wrestling Place!
Well, somebody here is a little happy camper tonight.
Ooh, man, it's really becoming a tradition like none other. Knocking the Buffalo Bills out of the playoffs. It feels real good, man. It really does. You know, how next week goes is however next week goes. I got a ton of respect for the Baltimore Ravens, the season they've put up so far. We can deal with next week when we get to next week, but right now we got to deal with the task that was at hand, and that was the Buffalo Bills, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy knowing that I'm happy?
I'm
Doesn't
very
make
happy.
you feel good.
You're
very happy because
I have no qualms. I don't have a horse in the race. My horse is now being turned into glue. We're and I'm okay with that. Sometimes you got to have some glue to make a beautiful project. Can't build a solid foundation with a little glue. So we'll live with it as we go. But yeah, man, very happy for you. Very, very
Thank
happy. Ecstatic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could be a word.
I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna take some time right here, right off the top.
Go ahead.
People said, "Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs. It doesn't look the same. They're not scoring 35 points a game. Oh, the Chiefs. They got wide receivers with feet for hands. They're not catching anything. They'll never get in the playoffs. They might lose the division." That was actually a thought. They might lose the division. Please. And we get in the playoffs. And it's, oh, well, Miami, they just, the Miami Dolphins, they just run so fast. Yeah, the wheels don't work too well when it's frozen outside, now does it? No, it doesn't. They're out of here. 11-win team. Bye. See you later. And then it's, oh, well, the Buffalo Bills, they just, they're on a big win streak, and they got Josh Allen. Ooh, I'm so scared. I said it at the top. Eliminating the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs is a tradition like none other in the Mahomes-Allen era. And what makes this one just a little bit sweeter than all the rest, because this is the third one. I don't know if you knew that, Tim. This is the third time the Chiefs are sending Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills home in the playoffs. But this is the first time that we're doing it in Buffalo, because the excuse always was, whoa, wow. I mean, the Chiefs, they got to play at home those two games. And, the second game, Josh Allen didn't get to touch the ball in overtime, which when it was the Chiefs who didn't get to touch the ball, when the Patriots had the ball, that was never a problem. Nobody went running to the officials to go change the rules, but it happens to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and suddenly, it's a big problem. We got to change that. Well, guess what? There wasn't no overtime in this one. It never got that far. We got to play the game in Buffalo this time.
Mm-hmm.
They were the higher seed this time.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of their defense healthy. Despite what a lot of the commentators will say, they had the key members of their defense healthy.
Like Damar Hamlin.
The NFL comeback player of the year. Who am I to guess his, second guess his ability? They
like
got that alleged woman beater out there, Von Miller. who allegedly should probably be in jail right now. They got everything on offense. They got a running game this year that's not Josh Allen. They got Josh Allen. They got a new offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. Well, why did that happen? It happened because the Buffalo Bills were booty through the middle of the year, and Josh Allen got his offensive coordinator fired. And then the new offensive coordinator comes in, Joe Brady. They said his name no less than 70 times during the broadcast tonight. Joe Brady comes in and he simplifies the offense. They're going to run a lot more, and they're going to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands when it comes to throwing the ball downfield. And they're actually just going to run a whole lot more. That way, when Josh Allen does do something, it really pops. It really, really pops. You know, the smaller the steak, the bigger the potatoes. That's the Buffalo Bills defense. Well, how you like them potatoes tonight? Huh? How they taste? How you like them? Going home. They're all going home. The Buffalo Bills are going home, and it ain't going to be a far drive for a lot of them because they're out of here. And it's on to Baltimore. The Arrowhead Invitational is on the road this year, but it is back on. It is on the road. We're going to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of respect for you. Let's have a good game. Let's keep it clean. I look forward to it. But the Buffalo Bills, bye, boys.
This is the only
they
thing
suck. Blow it up.
This is the only thing I'm going to say football related before we get into actual wrestling talk. This fumble into the back of the end zone bull crap needs to go away. I don't like this touchback rule at all.
Well, let the Bills do it, and they'll change it over the season.
I hate it. I think it's so dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. Like, I get like some of the rule, right?
I wish there was a jump ball in the NFL.
A jump ball? What is this, the XFL?
Sure.
We just put the ball on the 50-yard line and then two dudes just run 30-yard head start and just get the bacon?
Yeah, whoever gets it and gets to keep possession of the ball.
And get 7 times the CTE as normal.
Well, listen, I think it's a new segment that could be sponsored. So who says no?
That's true. That's true. Welcome to Final Wrestling Place. I'm Tim.
And I am still Marcus.
I caught him in mid blow your nose. Sickness has run wild through the Mr. Marcus household, but we are here to talk about a topic we promised 3 weeks ago. Finally, after doing our lineage, our due diligences, that's not a word, but we are finally here to talk about the Lone Wolf, AJ Styles, the no one era of AJ Styles in TNA wrestling. This is all from the TNA TNA wrestling YouTube channel, the almost 3-hour supercut of all that they deemed important to give us for AJ Styles. And of course, to remind everyone, we meant to do this 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. And as we were watching it, we realized, well, doggone, they're talking about aces and eights a bunch. It'd be stupid for us to cover AJ Styles first and then cover aces and eights. So we put AJ on pause, went back, did the aces and eights episode, which is our first episode on YouTube. Big congratulations to us. I don't know if it's a congratulations. We just stopped being lazy. But we did aces and eights last week, and we are doing Lone Wolf AJ Styles this week, which is in the thick of the aces and eights storyline.
Sure is.
It actually kind of starts right where aces and eights kind of ends, so to speak. And by ending, I mean the creativeness of aces and eights.
Yeah.
Bully Ray has already been officially announced as president of aces and eights. And of course, AJ Styles is going through the trials and tribulations after the Bound for Glory series, the first one in 2012. where he loses his shot at having a chance at the TNA title for a full calendar year. But what's your first thoughts on old Lone Wolf No One AJ Styles?
Well, what I really liked, and this is something that TNA I think does better than WWE. This is kind of from the same cloth as the John Cena losing to The Rock and then saying, "Oh, this is the worst year of my career," and then going on to pretty much win in every pay-per-view main event for the rest of the year. On the flip side, you have AJ Styles in a big match where a lot of people thought he was just going to win, and he actually loses, and he like gets into a funk and can't get out of it, even though he is still who he is. He is still AJ Styles, but he is losing and gets in a losing streak. And like that loss has consequences, and it has consequences to his psyche. And while even watching this, it's like, okay, this isn't the AJ Styles of like 2004, 2005, but like the character development and the range that he's trying to showcase here and grow, like this is really cool stuff. And this is the kind of stuff I think was necessary for a lot of the naysayers of AJ Styles, that he needed to tighten up his sports entertainment game or like develop that trait. Well, like here he is doing it. And I thought this was a really cool storyline to do so. I just love that like the loss has consequences.
Right. And I would also second that they got it started on the right foot with the right foil for him. And that being Tennessee Cowboy, James Storm, and the Bad Influence Boys of Glory Hound Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. With those three pieces, mainly Daniels and Storm, those are perfect pieces to put against AJ at the very beginning to get him into the mindset, get him into the lone wolf phase of his TNA career. It all kind of comes to a head with Tennessee Cowboy being the one to keep AJ Styles out of title contention. And then shortly after that, Christopher Daniels beats AJ Styles straight up, one-on-one. Of course, Daniels is, this is 10 years ago, so even then he was 107. And now who knows how old Christopher Daniels is. I kid. But needless to say, AJ then kind of becomes a man on an island. And we don't do this very often anymore, but I feel like we need to go back to it for this. There is some major red points for me to give to this lone wolf, because it feels very lather, rinse, repeat of any time any wrestling promotion does man stuck between two decisions. And like he always takes the no road, right? Like, I'm not going to join the NWO. I'm not with WCW. I'm Sting.
Right. I choose me.
I choose me.
It's Beverly Hills 90210.
Right. And it even watching the video, right? A lot of the anticipation of it was prior to members of the TNA roster giving AJ Styles ultimatums to like pick a line in the sand, right? Where you just didn't know what AJ was going to do. Kind of sort of along the lines of like the early parts of like Crow Sting, where he's attacking a member of WCW, he's attacking a member of the NWO, he's attacking a Four Horsemen. He hasn't chosen any side. He's attacking all sides. Same with, well, not even the same with AJ Styles, because he's never attacking the aces and eights. And he's only attacking people who are like directly getting in his face, which I can take or leave, right?
Yeah, but it's also like, I guess, tempered expectations with TNA.
Right.
But you're not wrong. And I guess it makes sense he's not really attacking anybody from aces and eights until we get like the big reveal.
Mm-hmm.
He's not joining aces and eights, even though it looks like he is. He does attack James Storm.
He did join aces and eights. He put his cut on. He attacked Kurt Angle. He posed up with them.
Yeah.
And then, like, shortest live member of aces and eights going buck wild with the hammer.
It's like Sting in the NWO for like 2 weeks before Uncensored 97. Like, he comes out with the NWO. He's traveling with the NWO. He doesn't have any NWO stuff on. I guess that's like the big difference. But he is in the black and white.
Right. He just happens to be with them. And the same thing with like AJ Styles in this. Like, it just so happens that every time AJ Styles is leaving the ring, the aces and eights are coming in to jump somebody. And it just happens to be too coincidental that it seems like AJ's with them. He's in the pocket, so to speak. So, I will give kudos or credit to, and this is something we both talked about a lot even before. AJ Styles was gifted the greatest on-screen moment of all time very early in this no one angle. So it's very early where he turns on James Storm. And he has the leather jacket hood. The hood is down. He turns and pops James Storm with a clothesline, and the force of the clothesline pops the hood onto his head. And you couldn't be gifted with a better piece of an article of clothing cooperating correctly and just doing what it's supposed to do. Right? It was perfect.
It's flawless.
And then later on in the recap, did you see the second one?
It doesn't stand out to me.
He pops up and he like enziguris somebody. I forget who he enziguris. But he's in the ring and he's got the hood and he like jumps up and like enziguris, and the hood flies up again. And then he leaves. And I'm like, man. But everything comes with a but, right? Red points to AJ Styles influencing white wrestling fan fashion for 3 years with the leather jacket hoodie look.
Yeah, it's a modern take on the Triple H.
Yes. Leather jacket, denim.
Sticky Rice comeback.
Yeah. Like,
this is the updated version.
Everybody had a leather jacket hoodie as like a walking around jacket, like their actual jacket, their ring jacket. Like, everybody's trying to look like Lone Wolf AJ Styles in 2012, 2013.
Speaking of 2012, 2013 fashion, the blue jeans with like the black dress shoes really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that was a look. I totally forgot about that. But that was a big look. With the Affliction shirts. Gotta love it.
The era.
Tail end of Affliction shirts.
Giant crosses on your jeans.
Yeah.
James Storm, halfway through the documentary, just comes out with like a giant cross pants. So wild.
We've mentioned James Storm a lot. I don't want to go off on like too much of a tangent.
I know where your brain is going.
And this week's episode, I forgot that they dropped the Tennessee part to just have him be Cowboy James Storm.
So stupid.
I'm like, oh, of course, it's totally a Bischoff thing of, got to be bigger, right? Got to get out of the South. And this is during like, I feel like pop culture every decade there is a mini part of the decade where like being country and redneck is like really popular for like 2 to 3 years. And this is in that pocket of this time because this is like Duck Dynasty. Brad Paisley's like super big. Taylor Swift is like leaving country and like that's a big thing. So like being country is a really big deal. And so like this whole James Storm character, this rise for him to go up the card to TNA and like finally be a main eventer and be a guy, like this is as perfectly timed as could be.
I have to look because I feel like Duck Dynasty is older than that.
Nope. Oh, older, like earlier.
Yeah.
This is probably during like season 3 of Duck Dynasty.
No,
I think Duck
it's
Dynasty,
season 1. Duck Dynasty started March 2012. It feels
there we go.
like forever ago.
But Duck Dynasty was like the 2010s version of Jersey Shore.
Right. But wasn't the Jersey Shore? No, that was 0405, wasn't it? Oh my God.
Jersey Shore is like 9-10.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very end of the decade.
I'm just so out of touch, not out of touch, but just like I lose track. Yes. It's like ask me the card of any pay-per-view within like a 10-year span. It could be any of them.
No, that's what I'm here for, baby. I got you.
All of this time is just squozed together. It's like it's cranium crunched. Straight out of Kona, Hawaii. Just
nope. I got you up till like 2016. Then I'm like, I don't know.
But then it all's the same, right?
Then it starts getting the same. But yeah, I got you. That's where I come in. I can.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. This run takes a very big turn for me near the middle of this video because Dixie Carter gets heavily involved.
Oh boy.
And let me tell you, I must have forgot about Dixie Carter. She absolutely sucks.
So this is where I think I start checking out of TNA because I think the AJ Styles angle for me was like this is your last chance, right? Like, oh, you can change, show me you're different. And like they do the AJ angle, it's like, okay, I'm buying it. You're different. It's for real this time.
Even though before they did this, they did possibly one of the single worst angles in TNA, the Claire Lynch stuff.
I didn't hate it, man.
I hated it.
I didn't hate Claire Lynch. I did not hate it. I liked it.
Of course you did.
I liked it.
But I did not like.
But like getting, red points here for Dixie because like of the green points with like AJ and having like the being pulled in multiple different directions, at least for me, like now you've canceled all that out because now you transition this from like Sting with WCW versus the NWO, and now you transitioned it into like that decade's poorest version of Austin versus Vince.
While
like
also,
Dixie Carter.
Not to jump ahead, but like we'll get there when we get there. So, multiple times people try to like pin AJ Styles into a corner and make him choose. And the first time he does it, AJ's like, I don't like ultimatums. Don't give me an ultimatum. I'm not choosing. To me, that's plain English. Don't back me into a corner. What do they do again? Like shortly thereafter, Kurt Angle backs AJ Styles into a corner.
It sure does.
What? Like what? TNA is like, it's like how John Cena doesn't learn from his mistakes. He's like the worst hero ever. This is like the TNA locker room are the worst friends ever. Your best friend goes, "Hey man, I'm trying to watch my weight. I don't want to like eat fast food when we hang out. Can we like get some stuff from the grocery store? And then you hang over at their house, like, hey man, I'm hungry. You want to go get some McDonald's? No, man, I really don't. Can we get some food? Oh yeah, man. And then like another dude joins the party and he knows too. And he's like, yo, man, McDonald's. And the other guy, stop.
How about Taco Bell though?
I don't have a tweet that popped off so hard. I can't get Taco Bell. Taco
That's
Bell is
true.
special occasions. What is Ed? How is Ed gonna decide on whether when he goes to Taco Bell or not? How is that possible? How is he gonna know now?
Right. No. If I guess if one of Adam's tweets on behalf of Ed blows up, maybe.
They got a half
Maybe.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But as soon as Dixie Carter gets involved in the AJ Styles storyline,
Nosedive.
very
It's
much
also
so.
weird because what's the payoff, right? Like AJ, we're past the point. Thankfully, of like male versus female violence in pro wrestling here in the middle part of the decade. So like what, or as we get closer to that part, so like what's the payoff? Like you're not going to have a match between Dixie and AJ. You're not going to have AJ give Dixie a Styles clash with a forearm. So like, what's the payoff?
Right. And it feels like this whole, like watching through the recap, it feels almost like AJ Styles plays second fiddle to his own feud. Right? Like when Dixie gets involved, Dixie's like throwing heat on the Hulkster. Right?
Yeah.
And like Hulk becomes the bad guy because AJ won't like sign a contract or join TNA or anything like that, right? So
Yeah.
Hulk immediately becomes like the baby face because Dixie's going after him. And then
Which I had no idea Hogan was still around, which I think this leads to like his exit. Like they tie this in.
I think it is because I think his quitting is like close to his actual departure from TNA.
Yeah. So like we get to AJ winning the Bound for Glory series at this point.
Right.
So he's got his win. He's in the Bound, or he wins the Bound for Glory series. Dixie is very much like anti AJ. You know, we don't want AJ Styles winning the belt, all the typical authority figure stuff. And then Hulk tries to babyface it and being like, hey man, like you're gonna go challenge for the belt.
You're going to
We
win
got to
it.
get you under contract.
Right.
You're gonna win it. I believe in you. Like Hulkster's trying to mend fences on behalf of prior TNA management's issues with AJ Styles.
Right.
Because AJ's main complaint, he gets a promo during this part where like he talks about like a big part of his going away and coming back a different man was like the weight of TNA, like TNA's mistakes and carrying those burdens,
Right.
and like being the ultimate fix-all for TNA. Like, oh, we brought in a bunch of, you know, overpaid ex-WWF guys, you know, who are just here for a brief run before they go back. Like, we got to reset things, give it to AJ. Oh, we're trying to push somebody, give them a good match. Oh, give them to AJ. Oh, like there's turmoil in the country, in the company. Give the title, you know, like get AJ on it. And there is like a lot of truth to that, and it was a lot of like I wouldn't say quite fourth wall stuff, but like really rubbing up against the fourth wall, and breaking it. And I don't know, like I don't know how much good that did. Like,
I mean, it
I don't know.
immediately, like for me at least, it discredits TNA as a company, right? Like, if TNA is going to continuously do wrong by its like number one dude, and he gets sick of it, like of course he plays it up and he's like, well, you know what? I actually enjoy being the go-to guy, and like I want the ball, and I want y'all to put it on me. But then like he turns to Dixie and he goes, and like, I'm not under contract. So I'm going to win your belt, and then Dixie, I'm going to make you beg, and then I'm going to make you pay. And then, like, the next week, Hulk comes out with a contract and, like, goes to get AJ to sign. And Hulk gets AJ, like, pretty much verbally agreeing to this contract. And then Dixie Carter comes out and, like, takes away the contract.
Yeah.
What sense does that make?
It's very weird that, like, obviously Hogan was sent out here on behalf of Dixie to try to smooth things over. You got AJ on the hook, and then Dixie comes out to, like, undo all that.
Like, it's just
Not the best thought out.
Yeah, it feels very much like just Dixie Carter era TNA, right? Like,
yeah, and it's like a segment that, like, you didn't need Dixie involved. You could have just had AJ be like, you know what, Hulkster, like, appreciate it, and, like, not all this is your fault, but, like, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm testing free agency, and I'm going to do it with the TNA World Title, or something like that. Or I don't know, or just be like, I appreciate this coming from you, but this isn't the person I want to see this contract come from.
right.
And just, like, leave it at that, and don't involve Dixie. But, like, Dixie coming out and dragging on that segment like another 10 minutes was, like, typical, like, got to get myself on the show type of stuff.
It really hurt me. Like, I was really enjoying this through the first half of the watch, and then literally as soon as Dixie Carter gets involved, I'm, like, cashed out. It's so painful. And it's like, it's not a knock on her. We are not going to be the first people who have anything negative to say about Dixie Carter in TNA wrestling or Impact, right? I will give green points so AJ Styles does win the TNA championship off of Bully Ray. And he's like, he's like the people's champ, but he's not the people's champ. Whatever. He's like, this title's for the people. And he takes the title and he leaves, but Dixie wants the belt because he's not under contract. So because AJ is not under contract, they don't mention it really in the, like, supercut of the Lone Wolf. But AJ, shortly after winning the title in the Bound for Glory series, vacates the TNA championship. And he takes the title with him back to Georgia. And we get the angle with a very young Rockstar Spud showing up at his house trying to break in and steal the title. And I give a little green points for that. Like, I forget how interesting Spud was at the time, kind of being Dixie's gopher and, like, EC3's little, like, hench weasel. But it was super interesting, like, that entire that whole little that segment where AJ eventually, like, set a trap for Spud and catches him in the act, then takes the title and kicks him out. It's like, either we can call the cops, or I can call some friends. And I'm like, Spud, you don't want any part of this small town. You need to leave. Spud, this is not for you. We're a couple years early, or we're right on time. Depends on who you ask, right? But I did enjoy that segment a lot. Because it does get us to, like, the vacating of the title, and we see the injection of Magnus. And with that, we get to see the ugliest Jeff Hardy bump I think I've ever seen in my life.
Brother, it's rough. Real rough.
Oh my God.
So they're doing a ladder match for the not vacant, but for the fake TNA World Championship. And since AJ Styles isn't under contract.
Now,
and it's like the not a reverse ladder match, but the belts being hung up by the entranceway.
Right.
So you have to, climb up there to go get it. So Jeff Hardy's about to grab it. And is it Spud that pushes him
It's
off the ladder?
Spud.
Spud pushes him off the ladder, and Hardy just eats it all the way down the ramp.
And like bounces his head off the ramp.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It is insane. But Magnus wins the title until eventually AJ comes back. And it's kind of weird because, like, as a fan, it's interesting to see, like, champion versus champion. But, like, I'm looking at it, and AJ has this very rigid strap, this very rigid, like, hard to move around version of the TNA title.
Straight from the merch stand.
The replica belt title. And Magnus absolutely has the broken in leather strap that like
movie
bends
quality.
and flexes, movie quality. And I'm just like, if AJ's supposed to be the real champion, then why doesn't he have the real belt? And why doesn't Magnus have the fake flimsy belt? Right? Like, it's a little thing to me. It's a little thing.
Yeah.
But
no, it should definitely be flipped around.
Right.
But we get to AJ coming back, basically saying you got the fake belt. You're not a real, not the real world's champion. You're not a real world champion. Magnus takes offense to that. Dixie's like, no. And Magnus like tells Dixie, like, shut up and get out of the ring. Like, he questioned my manhood. And now one of us has to die, pretty much. So they agree to do a match the next week, I think. It's pretty soon thereafter. But for timestamps, we're in January of 2014. So again, Aces and Eights is just wrapped up, which we talked about last week. We got AJ here taking on Magnus, and this one is just like it's a farce. Like, it is just run in after run in after run in. Even though they said, like, don't do that. We're not gonna have a match that like has a million run-ins, or like, if you have people that run in, I'm gonna have people that run in too. It's just running galore, and eventually ends with Magnus picking up the win on Styles.
Right. And it just feels weird because, well, I won't say it feels weird, but it is absolutely protecting AJ for like his next landing spot.
Yeah, and like who they have turn, it's Bobby Roode comes out.
Bobby Roode, the it factor.
To be the one to put him down with the neck breaker 3 times. One of Bobby Roode's like 10 finishes during that stretch.
I think he was using he was using the FU, I thought.
But ends with a neck breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just a bunch of weird and not non-preferred, and
yeah. And even then, like, you're shooting yourself in the foot because, like, okay, Magnus picks up the win on Styles, but he needed Bobby Roode to do it. So, like, now who's the bigger heel? Is it your world champion who you're very much trying to get over in Magnus, or is it Bobby Roode who you've kind of given the start and stop and half run to a couple of times already at this point? Which one, like, you're trying to have it both ways, and you kind of just, if you're gonna have a heel champion, have a heel champion, and like heal him up and have him be the one that puts AJ down. As crappily as he may do it or whatever, like, he needs to be the one who does it, and having another heel do it for him, like, all right, cool. Like, now what? You've got two heels both on the same level, one with the world title and one that doesn't have the world title, and you're not planning on doing like a baby face turn for either one super quick. So it didn't make any sense.
Right. What would you have done differently from everything we just watched? What would you have done differently to maybe make this lone wolf AJ Styles more palatable?
It's tough because it is AJ Styles and like he is Mr. TNA, but like less is more. And I think I would have done a lot less of him like being seen. And like, I think I would have made people go try to find AJ to like curry his favor early on in the angle when he is being pulled by like Bad Influence, and then by Bad Terry, and then by Bad Bully Ray. Like, have them go find AJ Styles as opposed to like bumping into him in the hallway or calling him out to the ring, or seeing him backstage. Like, that's how all those interactions went down. I would have gotten more TV time at like taking that out of the arena and like having people track down AJ Styles and like doing more character work outside of the ring with that and more storytelling that way. And then building up to like him coming back. Like, I think it feels a bit bigger if you limit those like in-person appearances. And then I remember the in-ring stuff I really didn't like, because I thought AJ, if he's going to be taking all this time off and he comes back with like the calf killer, I thought he should have been getting to that like a lot quicker. Like, he was still having a lot of like 50-50 style TV matches when he got back. And like, he should have just been mowing people over. And he should have been unstoppable. And he should have been doing it. Like, there's no reason I think those matches should have went more than 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, he should have just been a wrecking machine going through the TNA roster in the Bound for Glory series. And like, what's the harm? It's AJ Styles. Like, it's your guy. Everybody knows that's the guy. And like, you're doing this whole year-long storyline for him. So just commit to it. Like, you don't need another 15-minute great match out of AJ Styles and Impact. You had, even Dixie has said it, like, gone as far as you can go with that version of AJ Styles. So cool. Have him actually like mow through people. And then like just way less Dixie, I think.
Right. Is there any world in which you think that AJ Styles should have joined Aces and Eights? Because like, what if Bully wasn't the president of Aces and Eights? Like, he says he's the president of Aces and Eights, but he actually is not running Aces and Eights. Like, there's a person above Bully. And like, what if it is AJ that's not that? Like, that is the above guy for the Aces and Eights, but he's just not present. And like,
my question is,
yeah,
who's the baby face now? Like, who do you have taking down the Aces and Eights?
I mean, you still have, you've got Kurt, you've got Sting, you've got, because eventually you'll probably spin out somebody from the Aces and Eights like you do. Like, it was Mr. Anderson that put an end to the Aces and Eights formally. But even then, it could be like AJ destroys the Aces and Eights from within. Like, if that's the case, or like, even if he's not fully like outed as being the brain of it, it's I don't know. I may be like spitballing too hard, but I'm just trying to think of like anything that could possibly make it more captivating at a certain point.
Is it James Storm's like on
Maybe
my back
it's
boys
James
kind of
Storm's
moment?
comeback, right? Because you've got James Storm and what if it's Beer Money?
That would have been cool.
You had to put James Storm and Bobby Roode back together, and they team up with Sting and Kurt Angle, and like a Ken Anderson that breaks away from the Aces and Eights. And they go against what? Doc, Bully, AJ, Nux, and Briscoe, or Bully, AJ, Nux, Briscoe, and Garrett. And like, that's the 5-on-5.
It's a good thought process, but it's also tough because like at that point, like people didn't want to boo AJ Styles, especially not in TNA.
Yeah.
So they probably would have had to pivot to like a destroy it from the inside storyline, which those things just never work well in wrestling.
Right. Very true. Like, that's why it's
like they tried it with Daniel Bryan and they gave up after like 2 weeks.
They blew it up after 2 weeks.
Oh, Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family. It lasted like 2 weeks. Like,
it was 2 weeks.
Yeah, time to destroy it. The best they've done with that angle, I think, is Orton in the Wyatt family.
Because he
that at least had a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like when John Cena joined the Nexus. Like,
yeah, it was over in like 3 weeks.
Not even. Because He had to join the Nexus after the SummerSlam match with Orton and Barrett, right?
That was after Survivor Series, and that was John Cena was fired, I think, and he was still brought back.
If Wade
within a
Barrett
month.
didn't win, or if John Cena didn't call it down the middle,
if Cena didn't rule the decision in Barrett's favor, he was fired, but he was already under Nexus control from the previous month or whatever. And yeah, that's where you get like him with David Otunga as like tag champs a couple times. Yeah, but that's all within like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but while the Lone Wolf AJ Styles is a good look, I don't think it's a good angle. What about you?
It's great in theory, and it gets off to a good execution, but like the longer this thing goes, it just sputters out of control, unfortunately. So I think I'm inclined though to put it in the good place, because I think the best way to describe this is like a poor man's version of Crow Sting. And like what I mean by that is you have like Power Team USA, or you have Surfer Sting, and you have that like version of Sting for a good like 6 or 8 years. But then you get to Crow Sting and like that evolution of the character, and like for a lot of people that is Sting, and for Sting himself that is Sting, the Crow version of Sting. And I feel like with the Lone Wolf, no one AJ Styles, that's kind of the version of AJ Styles that we got from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you have the Blue Chipper, the Phenomenal One, that version of AJ Styles from like 2002 to probably about the time he joins up with Christian's stable. Like that's kind of that run of AJ. And you have like kind of this weird period in between. Yeah.
And then you got Fortune AJ.
And you got Fortune AJ. Yeah. So like this is where he really like puts all of that together, is with this like no one character. From like the look, he changes his in-ring style. The phenomenal forearm starts to be like a major blow that he does. And like now, like it's his finish, you know, like the calf killer, which is redubbed in WWE, the calf crusher, like that becomes a legit submission finish for him. So like that helps round out his game a little bit more. The springboard 450 became like a kill move.
Mm-hmm.
So like all these little things that he changed about his character kind of start here with the no one run of AJ Styles. So I'm good to put it in the good place, but it's not without its faults, I think.
Right. I guess we're divided on that, and that's okay. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the Discord, soon to be named Network Discord, under TNM Shows. We'd love to hear from you there as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think we covered this fairly well. Next week, Marcus, I have a treat for you.
Oh, I love treats.
WWE, of course, next week is the Royal Rumble. And we're not gonna jock the steez of We Need Wrestling and do a Royal Rumble.
We could never upstage the Royal Rumbler.
We couldn't, even if we tried. But WWE.com recently, as of today, released a video of the top 25 Royal Rumble surprises of all time.
Oh, my favorite.
Yes. And we are going to go back and we are going to carve this list up as only we can. So do your homework, watch the video from WWE. We will, and then we will give you the list, their list, and our top 10. We're not giving you 25, we're giving you top 10. But from what I've heard about this list, it's bogus.
Oh boy.
Absolutely bogus. I'll say this. What I would put at number 1 on the list is their number 12.
That's disrespectful.
It is so disrespectful, especially when you know what I'm talking about. But that is for next week. Now, what rocked this week for you? Aside from Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs destroying the hopes and dreams of the Buffalo Bills fans in Buffalo.
This week was the Hook taking on Samoa Joe.
Yeah, man.
That was this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that rocked. I really like that. It's the best version of Samoa Joe, which is just like him beating up a plucky underdog. I think that's the best Samoa Joe style match. At least the one that I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, at least I was like speculative of like Samoa Joe in the AEW just because like how he looked in NXT. Samoa Joe's back, baby. This is this is the dude. Yeah, he looks great. He is who we thought he was. He is still that dude.
Yeah,
and I'm interested to see what they do with Hook and how they treat him moving forward. Being able to go head up against Samoa Joe, I feel like puts him a clear cut above a whole half of the roster. And now to have Hook is like, okay, he's a wrestler. I feel like you're kind of like committed to him being like a top 15 dude in AEW.
If he doesn't go for the TNT title.
Yeah. Like he's kind of got to win it now. He's got to beat Christian.
And that's going to be crazy because Christian's going to try to talk about Hook's dad. And Taz is not going to have it.
Yo, when Taz puts Nick Wayne in the Taz mission.
The Katahachame. Sorry. When Taz puts Nick Wayne in Red Rum. It's going to be over. It's going to be so awesome. While just Kill Switch Luchasaurus Dumb Dinosaur just stares menacingly. What
rocked for you this week?
Two things rocked for me. One, bootleg Judgment Day merch selling R-Truth. That whole thing rocked. I forgot how awesome R-Truth was. But R-Truth has single-handedly polished the Judgment Day up even more than they already were polished. Like, they already had everything, right? They had Rhea. They had the Heat Magnet Dom. They have Mr. Money in the Bank. They've got everything, right? Now they've got R-Truth. And the whole spot from last Monday where R-Truth is like giving the members of the Judgment Day their cut of the money. Yeah. And like
I did not see that.
And like, oh, you didn't?
I did not see that part. No.
I'm going to run it all for you. So earlier in the night, Damian Priest and R-Truth meet backstage because later in the night, it's going to be Finn and Priest versus Awesome Truth. Okay. And of course, R-Truth is claiming to be a member of the Judgment Day because he beat JD McDonough in a tables match where he said whoever wins is in the Judgment Day and whoever loses is out. So he beats JD McDonough. Okay. So Priest is like, hey man, you need to really calm down with all this Judgment Day stuff. A lot of people in the group don't like it. Just like whatever. And R-Truth's like, what are you talking about? I got your merch money. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, I've been selling shirts. And he pulls out a stack of money and he shows it to Damian. And Damian goes, is that all of what you sold? He goes, no, that's your cut. And he hands Damian Priest a stack of the money. Just outright hands it to him. And Priest is like, all right, you're good. Don't tag in the tag match. And R-Truth's like, I get it. I know what you mean. Cool. So we get to the tag match. R-Truth starts the match. But before, all the rest of the Judgment Day is there. So Finn's got his ring jacket on still, and R-Truth just reaches into his pockets and pulls out all these loose dollar bills, and he's like shoving it into like Finn Balor's jacket pocket, and they're like Mike Tyson exploding out. And like, so there's like flying all over the ring, and he's like picking it up and putting it in his coat pocket. And then Dom has a cut, and R-Truth has all of Dom's money rolled up like a drug dealer, like all rolled up tight, rubber bound, and like hands it to him neatly. Like, and Dom just takes it. And then JD gets up on the apron and goes, "Where's my cut?" And R-Truth's like, "You're not in the Judgment Day." And of course, JD McDonough's all pissy and whatever. But R-Truth's the man. Go back and watch that entire segment. Me explaining it doesn't really do it justice. It's probably on Twitter somewhere.
I'm sure it is.
If I find it, I'll put it in the Discord for us to talk about or for reference materials. But what else rocked for me this week is getting scooped and booped by We Need Wrestling and At Odds with the official announcement of Kazuchika Okada leaving New Japan. Boy, this really shakes things up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know. I'm not going to say I knew. I'm just going to say I didn't know that this wasn't known already. So I was very surprised when the news broke, and I was like, I thought that was a thing, but it wasn't. And so now I'm getting the full gravity of it after listening to DJ and Brett. We'll talk about it. I'm still really behind on At Odds because I had a snow day, so I'm gonna get At Odds in on Monday super late. But yeah, it certainly does shake things up a bit.
I think what it did though is like when we first heard about it, because we started hearing about it when Will Ospreay was being mentioned as like being a free agent, right? And there were, of course, for right or for wrong, you have all the journalists with a Z and wrestling news guys who were reporting, Okada's going to be a free agent this year too. And because to all of us who like even tangentially follow New Japan, we all assumed it was just going to be a fake story. Because why would New Japan not re-sign God? Like, Marcus, you have Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge is about to be a free agent, and you just let him walk?
I don't think it's so much about letting him walk as it is he's made up his mind that he's going to walk.
Right.
I did go on Twitter down some rabbit holes and see that I guess whatever the pro wrestling equivalent is of Swifties is the following that Okada's wife has in Japan, and that fans just knew that they were leaving for America a while ago because she was putting up on her Instagram about how she was taking English classes.
That's a dead giveaway.
Non-wrestling people in Japan had this figured out for a while.
Right. Right. Even though like Japanese people are super scholarly, everybody learns English as a second language, and we just are like, learn English or nothing.
We're idiots.
We're idiots who don't believe in anything outside of our four walls. But yeah, the landing spot's AEW, right? Like, I don't want to play.
I think so. I don't
want to play the exercise. I don't want to play the exercise of like DJ and Brett because I feel like
that was
to
fun,
me,
but they did it. Yeah. They did it great.
I think it would have been different if his last day was before the Royal Rumble. I think the only way Okada is a WWE superstar is if like they roll the Brinks truck out, and then they roll another Brinks truck out, and they debut him at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think I think he would like split the difference between whatever the path was for Nakamura and whatever the path was for AJ Styles. Like I think he's in the middle of those two worlds.
He does.
If you
He
look at
definitely does not go
AJ
to NXT.
Right, he doesn't go to NXT. That's not a thing. But he's going to come up on the main roster in WWE, and you're as big of a deal as they want to present you and treat you to be. And if they give you that time and opportunity and all that production that goes into that, if he wants to go on basically a god run of what Okada can do over 18 months, then he's going to be a made man for the rest of his life. Like he will be in every WWE video game moving forward. He'll be in the regular rotation of action figures. Like he will be in the wrestling world immortal here in America. Just like with AJ Styles, 3 months into his run, you couldn't imagine WWE without him. And like that's the pathway for Okada, I think. But I think it's a lot of overthinking. While it is fun, the dude's going to get paid a lot of money to hang out with his American friends. So I think that's going to happen in AEW. I think it's good of AEW to not just like focus on like in-house, but like improve the quality of the house and like do the things that WWE has been reluctant to do. So like bringing in an outsider like Okada and then positioning him as a main eventer here in the States. That is something that AEW can do that WWE would not do or would do so with a lot of hesitance.
They might have in the past, but maybe not now, right? Like WWE is playing very differently than before.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Okada did go to WWE, I think they could, especially with two brands, especially with all of the uncertainty now with what you choose to believe or not believe with all the conversation with Seth Rollins right now and the World Heavyweight Championship. He could very easily be on Raw as a main event guy doing Okada stuff, and they position her like they did Asuka. Right? Asuka came in and was an unstoppable machine and has practically been Teflon this entire time.
Yeah. I guess my pushback on that is that's a lot easier to do in the women's division than it is in the male side of things.
But again, too, like Okada is American built. He's a big dude. Like he will fit in the land of the WWE.
No, I don't question that. My thing is it's WWE taking away from their energy that they're already channeling in-house to Jey Uso, to Cody Rhodes, to the Judgment Day. They've got all these people in-house already who they are propping up as the new main wheels that make the WWE truck go vroom.
Right.
And would WWE take some of that energy and then be like, okay, Okada, this finished product from another place, you're just coming in here now and doing what you do, but now you're going to be, another big wheel to what we do. I don't know if they're going to do that. You could say, oh, they did it with Cody, but they knew exactly what they were getting with Cody. There was no question about that. That was a finished product. He was always destined to come back. You knew exactly what you were getting there.
Right.
I think it's a little different with Okada. And like you can point to like, oh, well, the run that Nakamura just had. Nakamura's been there for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And
There's
it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows with Nakamura's run.
It hasn't. Like he got off to that hot start, and that was on SmackDown. Leave it to SmackDown.
Where he almost kills John Cena.
Yeah, and then once he gets off SmackDown, it gets pretty booty pretty quickly.
Yeah, but Now, on the same side though, like AEW, for right or for wrong, like they're top heavy too. Like they have a lot of established things, and like at least Okada is tangentially in that universe already. But you want to talk about displacing people to bring in Okada? Like Okada has to immediately get put into like the title conversation that now already consists of Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, and the upcoming Will Ospreay, right? Or whenever he actually lands in the US, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
but I think there's a lot more room to breathe in that AEW top of the card than there is in WWE.
but like in my mind though, there is so much room to breathe because Tony Khan has not let that whole roster congeal.
Right.
It seems like Tony Khan has always been like bringing in another person and bringing in another person and bringing in another person and shuffling the deck and shuffling it again and continuously shuffling. And he hasn't let things kind of settle. So it's always chaos and everything's flying through and everything's coming around and people get interjected here and injected there. Not to say like it's not to say I don't enjoy it, but it's tough because there is no real hierarchy in AEW.
And that's where it gets interesting to me, because if you have Okada, you have to use Okada
As
Okada, especially in AEW where there is a good section of your fan base that does know exactly who this guy is. You can't bring in Batista and use him as Ryback.
No.
For a simple American analogy. Like, yeah, you just can't do it. You bring in Okada. I'm not saying you got to put the world title on him, but you got to have him be in like world title adjacent programs.
Mm-hmm. He's got to be
Like,
in like that. He's got to be in that Swerve Hangman role.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just it's weird to me. It's interesting to say the least. Like where he lands, I'm very interested. I'm not saying which way he's going to go or not. I don't know. I'm happy to watch. Also hasn't been scooped and booped yet. Tama Tonga officially done. He's wrapped with New Japan now. He lost the never openweight title to Evil, notable House of Torture garbage man Evil. Evil, the same guy who tried to like stomp out Naito after Wrestle Kingdom, but now he's the never openweight champion instead of going after the world champ. Okay. Yeah, Evil is the openweight champion and Tama Tonga is wrapped. All signs point to WWE, right? He's like bloodline adjacent. He's free after the Royal Rumble, or he's free leading into the Rumble. Roman Reigns needs some help. He's going against God. He's going against God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit at Royal Rumble. Can't do it by himself.
Yeah. Even if just for like for Solo, like another person for Solo to play off of,
right?
Like
another serious dude.
That's why it's worth it. Yeah, like whether he toughens Solo up or pushes him or whatever it is. I'm like most interested to see that happen. And even if he just comes in basically just to like kind of be on a much lesser version, like the Kane to Solo's Undertaker, like somebody brought in specifically to boost Solo up in a program, like cool, good use. Like if this keeps Solo busy and like you can tie some story in here with like them teaming and then like, them having singles matches or whatever, I think it's totally worth it because they've invested a lot in Solo and you don't want to give up on that dude.
Right. My initial thought was Solo will need a solo when he becomes tribal chief.
That's a good point.
Tama can very easily be Solo's solo after Roman's done, because they've technically already crowned Solo as the next tribal chief. They've already said it. It's already been announced. So what's to say the elders don't send protection for Solo?
Yeah.
You know, somebody to watch Solo's back, because Roman's been just throwing Solo to the wolves.
Right. And now you saw him get eat up by Orton on SmackDown. So it's like, all right, we need something for Solo. Because, like, you wouldn't have done that 6 months ago.
He literally just murdered John Cena.
Yeah.
But now, who knows, right? So,
yep.
Interesting times in the world of professional wrestling, and we're always fun to look to see where that all goes. Did you buy anything this week?
Well, no, I haven't bought anything. Your Christmas present came in,
Nice.
so I got to get that to you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I haven't. No weekly purchases. Made a big trip to BJ's, so that was a heavy duty trip.
Heavy.
Heavy. Had to pay some quarterly bills. You know, trash, recycling, hot water, whatever. All that good stuff. So
yep, I got one of those. I got one of
those
those coming up. I got one of
Any
those.
weekly purchases for you?
I do. WWE has released their greatest hits Elite series. So I was able to find a doll, that was re-released due to distribution problems. So I got the They Live Roddy Piper.
Very nice.
Yeah, man. Super excited for this. I saw this.
That looks great.
Yeah, man. Super good. This line has the Scorpion King Rock and WrestleMania 2 Brutus, Shield Seth, R-Truth, and the Natural Disasters. So I may have to go natural disaster hunting, because those boys are Lucy Jones. If I get Earthquake and Typhoon, they are coming out of their shells. They're breathing.
Yeah.
They're hanging, baby. But yeah, other than that, I got to start saving some money. Got to get a hotel together. Got to get for a trip to Virginia.
Well, yeah.
Should be fun. February 3rd. Heading down to watch Mr. Pig put the work in on EC3 for the 10 pounds of gold. Should be fun. I'm looking forward to it at the wonderful Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia, in the shadows of the great Norfolk Scope.
That's right. NWA country, baby.
That's right. Jim Crockett Promotions, baby. I'm very excited to see Mr. Pig wrestle for the NWA Championship. Maybe surprising him with a friend of his past, maybe coming through and hanging out. So we shall see. But that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. It's something special for me, at least, like as somebody who's like followed the Boar's career since like the beginning. Very cool to see.
Oh, I imagine Mr. Pig's probably going to have a Billsian rant to go off of maybe that night, maybe at some point in the very near future following that night. But yeah, got to handle business. Mr. Pig does. February 3rd. I think doors open at 6:30, something like that. And but yeah, Masonic Temple, Norfolk, VA. It's going down. Mr. Pig going for the 10 pounds of gold, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna cram 20,000 people inside the Masonic Temple. It's gonna be great.
Well, normally the Masonic Temple doesn't hold 20,000 people.
It will that night.
It will that night.
You daggone right. Be hanging from the rafters if you will. Besides that, do you have anything else to plug?
Also next weekend for Mr. Pig on January 27th, the same night as the Royal Rumble. But if you're in the area, go ahead and check out Flying V Fights. They have a show going on from the Black Box Theater in Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm sure eventually it'll be streaming in some order of fashion on Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium, but nothing like being there live. They do a fantastic show with lights and production. And all that good stuff. So again, if you're in the area that's in the DC area, go ahead and check that out. Mr. Pig's going to be there. Hopefully in a match earlier on the card, so Mr. Pig can bail and hit the road.
Sounds good.
Silver Spring, not a good merch town.
Yikes. Tough.
Yeah.
I'm getting my ducks in a row to possibly head out to the compound.
Oh, nice.
For the Rumble.
Nice.
Unsure as of yet, just because about my car situation, whether I'll have the rental still or if I'll have my car back. Currently, last I heard is that the body work was done on my car, and now they are repainting the body, and then they will be reassembling the body. So they think it may be early to late next week. So that's a big window.
Hammer that over. That over, baby.
If you laddered this and you took you took a January 10th date, and then you took a January 17th date, and then you took a January 24th date, you might ladder all the way through to the 24th. See what I did there?
I saw what you did.
I appreciate that. But other than that, soon to be named network.com, soon to be named network.tumblr.com. It's your home for this and so many other podcasts, including but not limited to our wrestling offerings of At Odds with Wrestling with Joe and Adam. Subscribe to their Patreon. Tons of great content there. And We Need Wrestling with DJ and Brett. This month, super special, the Royal Rumbler, Michelle, doing the Lord's work, watching Royal Rumbles and making me happy. But so much more on the network too. Longbox Heroes After Dark, Puzzle Warriors 3, Profane Arguments, Hayabusa. I know it's coming soon, baby. I know it's there. I'm ready for it. I'm locked in. I'm waiting for the spicy drop to happen. But all of that can be found at STBN Network on Twitter. That's your spot. If you want to follow us, you absolutely can. At Not the Tool Man for me, at the Wrestling Speakeasy for Marcus, if you know, you know. At TNM Shows on Twitter. YouTube.com/Final Wrestling Place. To like, subscribe, ring the bell. All our podcasts are going there, including all your podcatchers of choice. If you want to listen, you can listen however you want to listen. It's all there and all out there. Next week, we're breaking down WWE's fraudulent top 25 Royal Rumble surprises. I can't wait. I'm already calling fraud. But right now, Marcus, all that's left is tell the people goodbye.
Bye, boys.
Bye, Josh.